As promised, we're providing straightforward answers to the most random questions from job seekers and employers. This is Ask Qwalifize. This week's random question is, what are some tips IT project managers should know about before, during, and after an interview? Our special guest will be answering that question.
Gary Montoute, and so thank you very much for the opportunity to talk here today, Elizabeth. So I've been in the IT industry for over 20 plus years. I've worked in the financial sector, currently in the healthcare sector, as well as banking and an offshore business process outsourcing. So that's my experience there.
Yes, which is definitely the many reasons outside of that I reached out to you. I figured that you would be one of the best people to talk about this subject. We get several different questions, and we wanted to make sure we're addressing these on a weekly basis. I think that whether you're a job seeker or you're an employer, you can definitely learn from these sessions. So the question that came in this week was from a project manager. And so they were struggling with the review process after they've searched for a job and applied. And so I wanted to just touch on different phases of the job search. And then, we're just going to go back and forth. So I appreciate it. So if I were a project manager, right, as far as my resume and of course from your experience, what do you think that a candidate can do to better present themselves on paper first?
So great question, right? So have been dealing with hiring and staffing up and staffing down and stuff for quite some time. I would tell you, let me just go back a little bit, right? So it really starts especially in today's world, with your background, right? How you present yourself on social media, right? So you have your LinkedIn, your profile. Make sure people can, you have a good picture, the basics. Have a good picture out there. Have a good story out there on LinkedIn, right? That's 9 out of 10 times you find a lot of people going there to see what this person is really about, where they've been. So that's a good opportunity there. For wherever you're looking, make sure you could try to find that HR contact. Use your connection. Use your connection. See who's connected to HR. See who's connected, and find an HR contact. If you want to upgrade your LinkedIn, that's up to you. But try to direct message contact so they can get you on contact. Let them know exactly what you're looking for. So that's one.
So you would say that employers are doing their research on you after they've received your application, but before they even talk to you, right?
Absolutely. So it's not just who you know; it's how you present yourself, how you look out there. Do you have a presence? There's some people who don't have a presence out there, and so be it. But definitely, there's a plus in being visible to the community. It's easier that way. That's how I got one job. I never applied for this one particular job, and they found me on LinkedIn and they sourced me out and they hired me. I accepted it. It was really good.
Awesome. Thank you for touching on that.
Yeah. So get a little bit more detail for the project manager. So let's just say they get the call. So they get the call, and so they're preparing for the interview. In today's society, obviously, you're probably gonna have a Zoom call, right? Making sure you have the right Zoom background, the right background, whatever it is, what you use, Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Set the background up correctly. Research the company. Research the company and have at least a couple of questions written down that you want to ask about the company. Look at what the company is doing in the community. If it's public, if it's private, try to get a little bit more of from who is in there and what the culture is about. That's very important.
To add to that, going back to the Zoom, make sure you're in a quiet environment. Nothing's distracting. Kids aren't running around, dogs not barking. Of course, we can't control externally what's going on, but right. I just wanted to point that out. You want to give that person your undivided attention. You still have
undivided attention,
right?
Absolutely.
Whether you're virtual or in person.
Work with your recruiter on some test calls as well. What are some of the questions? Because your recruiter might have some more information about that company, right? Mm-hmm. Do the test video call, the test audio call. Make sure everything is working well before you have that call.
And
so now we're
your friend.
Right? Exactly. So now we're in front of that person, and it's and you're presenting yourself, right? We've checked all those things, and you want the job. So it's about asking, the questions, So some of the questions I like to always ask is, so is this a new position, a newly created position, or is this a backfill? What happened to the last person? How were they successful? Right? How will I know that I'm hitting the mark if you were to hire me? Right? You put that right back on them so they can let you know, and you can know whether from those answers what their review process is like. Right? You can find out. Maybe there might be one-on-one meetings, right? Maybe they may monthly meetings. Is your review period every 6 months or is it annual?
Yeah.
Those things give you a better sense of how laid back or how tightly knit that company might be.
And also for the person who's interviewing, that gives me a sense of, I said me, of course, I do a lot of interviews too. Yes. That gives me a sense of how serious this person is, if they're thinking about long-term, or they're just taking a position out of desperation or looking to jump ship pretty quickly. That also helps us to make that decision if there's someone that wants to grow with the team.
Right. And then, so, being specific about the project management role, talk about some of your past projects. Come with at least 2 or 3 projects you've done, whether they were successful or not. You've been able to identify the problem areas, how you overcome those things. Have the terminology intact, what you're going to use. Today, they're looking for a lot of agile type of flexibility in terms of that. So if you've never done that before, I would definitely read up on it to see what they're looking for, or take some classes about it. If you want to get into project management, you want to keep moving forward, look and see where technology is going and learn on it, get some education on it as well. So you may come in and say, I do not have the experience, but I know what this is and I understand this. And I'm in a network of people that would allow me to be able to answer questions and get to it rather quickly.
How important would you say the PMP certification is? Like, does it depend on the role? Does it depend on what are just the different factors? And also for yourself, how important is that when you're making a hiring decision?
I think for a lot of organizations, sorry about that. I think for a lot of organizations, it's still very, very important, right? So sometimes it comes down to experience over certifications, and then there was a time where it was certification over experience, right? So I think a good combination of experience and certification does matter. It means that you have that disciplined approach to getting something done, getting a certification. So a lot of companies, when they deal with other vendors, they want to make sure that this is a certified person, a resident expert of sorts that's representing our company. So why not have that certification? So I think as it continues to be competitive again, I think it's very important.
Good. Thank you so much for that. And I also wanted to highlight that if you're a project manager, this certification is not just to get a job. Do it for yourself, like everything else in life. Then it's tied to a vision and a goal that you have, and it's more like an emotional connection. So then you feel even better about going after it. Anytime you're investing in yourself, it's never a waste. It's never a loss. So I want to.
What you find sometimes is the hiring managers or the leaders, the stakeholders, they're familiar with the certain terminology and the acumen of project management, right? So you want to be able to talk that talk, right? So when they're asking for burn down charts, or they're asking for the certain models to be displayed, you want to be able to answer that right away without having to go on YouTube and try to figure it out.
Let me tell you, once you get into that interview, they will find out if you are walk the walk, not
the
just
real deal.
the talk. Yes.